Hi, my name is Ryan Paskey, and I would like to just say thank you so much for having me be the juror for the Iowa Central Fall 2021 Photography and Visual Art Show. Um, this is the first time I've ever done something like this, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed, looking through all the pieces of work. And what I've done is written out some details about each piece, kind of describing them, and then also my reasons behind selecting them. And it was not easy to pick the winners because honestly, if your piece did not place in this, do not let that get you down. Do not let that bother you, because honestly, there could have been more like subcategories, first, second, and third, or things like that. Like a lot of these, it's really tough to narrow these down to these winners. So y'all did a really good job. So what I'm gonna do is go through each category and kind of like stop the video, and I'll have like different chunks for each section, because I swear if I just keep doing this thing all the way straight through, I'm gonna mess up here and there. So if I break it down, this will make it a little bit easier, and hopefully the quality will be a little bit better. So what I'll do first is start off with the fine art photography category. And again, this was really tough. I don't know the exact number of like entries, but my process, what I would do is, I look through all of these dozens of times. I would click through, look, and if it, the ones that stood out to me, I would save them and I would put them in a folder. And for the fine art photography section, I probably downloaded like 10 to 12 photos that were, candidates for my first, kind of like dozens of times of going through it to narrow it down. And then ultimately I had to eliminate the photos to get down to 3: first, second, and honorable mention. So for the fine art photography section, congratulations to Madison Vinchattel. Excellent photo. I love this photo. It's titled Mystery, and some of the things that I've got written down here: silky smooth blacks with an excellent foreground and background blur. I love the lighting. This is very professionally lit. It looks like there are at least 2 lights on the subject, possibly 3. The lights hanging in the background add another layer that I absolutely love. They're not used for lighting the subject, but they just look great in the background. I really love that. Tack sharp focus on the face. Excellent job. This is perfectly focused. Like I said, the foreground and background blur. I just really love the mood of the photo. The title Mystery says it all. I have to keep looking at the photo, the subject in the photo, to try to figure out like what is her expression, what is she thinking, what are we trying to portray here. And the hand reaching forward is a really nice touch. You just got to keep looking at this photo and looking at this photo and looking at this photo. It's catchy. I really like this photo. I'd like to provide like some of the metadata that I was able to get from the file. This is shot with the APS-C camera, 50 millimeter, f1.8 and 1/500th of a second. F1.8, I can only imagine that this was a prime, and of course you don't need to shoot with primes. You can use zoom lenses. That's but it's kind of tough to be a prime, and 1.8. It's you get a lot of background blur, a little bit of bokeh from those lights. So congratulations, Madison. Excellent photo. And for second place in the fine art photography category, congratulations, Ashley Agan. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. Your piece, Mad Scientist, I love this piece. Honestly, very well could have been first place. It was so close. And you just nailed the range of like black to white. And what I really like about it is you didn't go all the way to pure black and pure white. They were left just like right there on the end of the range. Like I popped open Photoshop and used the color picker to kind of see, you know, what the color codes were. And I like that you didn't go all the way to pure black and pure white. It gives like, there's like a layer. I mean, there's not a layer, but it's like there's a consistency over the photo of leaving kind of like that dark matte black and kind of like off-white. It makes any kind of sense. It's not the same color, it's a range, but it gives it that feel of having consistency, even though it's the range is kind of hard to explain. But I like how you left some on the end there, of not going all the way to black and white. Excellent focus on the face, which is the subject, and that's where you want to focus. It's perfect, with like a hint of motion blur. Kind of seems like in the forehead, and then also the steam coming out of the pumpkin. I'm not sure if you guys use dry ice or something like that, but I could see the motion of the steam, because the shutter speed was 1/25 of a second. And I don't know if you did handheld or on a tripod. If you did handheld, like that's like pretty steady hands for 1/25 of a second. Maybe you're on a tripod, but still, really good choice of shutter speed. And I guess good job for the subject too. Whatever he was doing, you know, whatever, he did a good job. Not moving too quickly, but also moving a little bit, so that can make it challenging, but also adds, you know, to the mood of the photo. I love the expression on the subject's face. Super creepy. Like, what is going on here? Beautiful lighting. I mean, this looks professional. This is professional quality lighting and execution here. Some of the metadata: APS-C, 53 millimeter, f2.8 at, again, 1/25 of a second. So slow enough to get a little bit of that motion blur, and boom, nailed the focus. Love it. The lighting is layered. I don't know exactly how many lights were being used, but you know, 2 to 3, maybe more. It would be kind of nice to know some of those details. And yeah, congratulations, Ashley, for getting second place in the fine art photography category. For honorable mention in the fine arts photography category, congratulations, Ty Williamson, for your piece titled Who, H-O-O. This is by far the most creative theme out of all of the photos. If there was a subcategory for creativity, this would absolutely get first place. I like the noisy grain going on in the photos. The photo composite style was successfully executed. All the photos go together and they all have their own unique edges. I'm not sure if you printed them out and composited on to something else, or I'm not 100% sure, you know, what was going on there, but I like how it wasn't like, oh, you know, straight lines, but blah, blah, just place your, you know, photos down on there. Good job on going with the composite theme. It looks like scenes from a horror film, and it also looks vintage. With the graininess definitely helps with making it look vintage. I really like that the highlights are blown out in the face and shirt, which I am sure was purposeful. I love the use of what I think is the edge of a cornfield for the background. It just adds to the creepiness and the overall, I mean, it's just incredibly spooky. It almost looks like the subject is headless in the bottom right-hand photo. I just absolutely love it. I think that this is extremely creative. I wasn't able to get the metadata because it's composite. So whenever you're doing your file creating, obviously it's multiple photos. But it did say Fujifilm X-T4, so possibly that was the camera that you used. and it did give some metadata, but I didn't really mention it because I don't know which photo that was from or even if it was from the photo. So I wasn't really able to peep on that stuff, but just excellent job, Ty. Pretty creepy. This is good. Good job. That's honorable mention. Thank you. Going on to the commercial photography category, these photos, a lot of y'all very likely will be doing this after graduation, because this is how most likely most of you will be making money. If you end up going in, the more so the fine art route, you can, but it can be a lot more difficult, especially at first, to produce an income, which ultimately you need to be making an income. So the commercial photography category is very practical. These are the type of photos you could be doing for people that are going to be purchasing the prints, like say it's family photos or wedding photos, things of that nature, senior photos. And then also commercial could be like for say magazines or editorial. So in this category, congratulations, Willem Wilson, for first place. The title of the photo is Couple Drone, and I believe, yes, this was the only photo where a drone was utilized. And I'm not purely picking this because a drone was used, because it was executed very well. The photo taken with the drone, I believe, my guess is Mavic. Looking with the metadata, it was definitely DJI. Could have been a Phantom, but I think it's Mavic from the resolution of the photo. Some details here that I wrote down. I love the straight down angle that was used. You can do this angle with like a regular camera, but the drone it's ideal. As long as the drone doesn't pop out of the sky and land on them. But I just love the angle. Like you don't see this. I mean, you see it now because drones are more prevalent, but the straight down angle is not something that is done a lot, especially further in the past. So good choice by doing straight down with the drone versus you could have been elevated and like looking straight out or an angle. I love the straight down, the angle. I think the subjects were placed very well in the composition. They're slightly to the left and they're angled. The woman's feet are kind of like pointing at 10 o'clock, and the man's legs pointed kind of like 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I like how like their faces are they're facing each other, and their legs are going in opposite direction, and it's at an angle. It's not like straight across or like straight down. They're off centered a little bit. I like how his feet are coming off of the frame. She's entirely in the frame. So I like the mixture of the two concepts, instead of like them both going off or them both being entirely in the shot. I like how you mixed it up. The texture of the grass is really catchy. I imagine, this would look really good printed on canvas. It looks like it could be like an engagement photo. And so this is something that y'all can be making money doing once you graduate, if you're not already doing that. Someone would pay for this print right here for sure. The black and white style was done very well. I'm sure this would also look beautiful in color. A little bit of the metadata information. I think it was a Mavic, but again, I don't know. But it's a DJI drone. They use 1-inch sensors in the camera, so the focal length is kind of odd. It's going to be weird when you're thinking about, like crop sensor or full frame. But focal length was 4.49 millimeter in that 1-inch sensor. f2.8, which I think was smart. You could have shot this at any aperture, but 2.8, you're gonna get the sharpest like depth of field focus. And I'd be curious to know if you did touch focus on this or just kind of let it autofocus. And the shutter speed is 3,200th of a second, which really is irrelevant, but I also like it's a 16:9 ratio, which means you're using the full width of the sensor, I guess you could kind of say, instead of choosing like 4:3 or 2:3. I like how you did the 16:9. Like I said, I think this would look great printed on canvas. Kind of like a little secret or cool kind of thing is the DJI drones, actually you can get wider than that 16.9. There is more to these photos that you can pull out of there if you use a program called Capture One. I'm sure most of you are using Photoshop or Lightroom, but if you check out Capture One, it's really bizarre. I do real estate photography and I use a drone, and I discovered when I started using that program that it actually shoots more than what pops out in like Lightroom and Photoshop. So check out Capture One, because this photo right here, I mean, not that you would need to, but you could make it, even wider, even further, landscape. So I love this photo. It was done very well, and congratulations, Willem, for first place in the commercial photography category. For second place in the commercial photography category, congratulations, Carter Shima. Apologize if I'm mispronouncing your last name. Coffee in Chicago. I love how you used, or how you spelled, instead of Chicago, like how the city is spelled, Carter spelled it SHECAGO. So I thought that was kind of creative. Coffee in Chicago. And did an excellent job on the color processing. I imagine this didn't come straight out of the camera like this, but I mean, possibly. But the skin tones are very well done. Perfect focus on the subject with just the right amount of background blur. Not too much. I mean, some people just go crazy with having the background completely blurred, but in this photo that would not make sense at all, because you have pieces of the skyline behind her, and composition was well placed, especially with getting low and looking up at the subject. You've got Chicago written on the Chase Bank sign behind her, and the O is missing. You can't see the O, but it says Chicago. So I like how you didn't try to force the entire sign to say the entire city name of Chicago in there, because it's not necessary. You have enough letters of it that it says Chicago. So I like that. I like how you can't see the O. I can't quite tell if this was taken during the golden hour, but it looks very naturally lit to me, and the shutter speed is 1/5000th of a second. So I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think you can sync flashes and stuff like that at that speed. Let's see. Her pose and facial expression is very interesting. So compliments to the model, and any directing you may have been doing. I like it. I think it's cute. It's a great little pose. Her facial expression, holding the coffee, it's very well executed. This could be a fashion photo, coffee advertisement. This is professional. This definitely looks professional. You can find a client to pay for this work right here. So congratulations, Carter, on second place for the commercial photography category. I just wanted to say I forgot to list all of the metadata from Carter's photo, Coffee in Chicago. It was full frame. I could tell that this was shot with the Sony A7R II, which is a very high megapixel. This is 42 megapixel camera. So it's, something to keep in mind for commercial photography. You don't need that many megapixels, but if you were doing some kind of work that needed to be printed at a particular size, the 42 megapixels is pretty large. So 36 millimeters for the focal length. So I imagine this was on some type of zoom lens. Don't know if they make the exact 36 millimeter primes. It's usually 35, so not that it matters. But f2.8, good choice. 1/5000th of a second, which is irrelevant. I can't see the ISOs on any of these in the metadata, so I'm just gonna assume 100 ISO. Don't know, but anyways, shutter speed doesn't matter. But just so you want to know, it's 1/5000th of a second. So I imagine this was a handheld shot. Would make sense. For honorable mention in the commercial photography category, congratulations, Paige Stewart. Your piece, Braids for Days, really nice, excellent job. I absolutely love the upside down angle. I think that was really creative, and the correct skin tones and the white balance on the cooler end. I liked the colors are great. I mean, it's excellent. The choice of the pose with emphasis on the braids was very well done. Like the lines and then how she's holding them at the top. I love it. It looks like the lighting may have been naturally ambient, but if like an off-camera light was used, it looks like the proper use of one single light. I could be wrong. It's kind of tough always when you don't know those details, but it looks like it's ambient. Maybe a flash was used, and if so, I think one. But the lighting is excellent, and great focus, like on her face and the braids, and you've got the blur at the top and the bottom. It's nice balance. It's a good, good job on the focus, and I like the range of the highlights and the shadows. The highlights are brought like pretty close to the breaking point, but it's done really well, and it's like not too far. They're not blown out, but like parts of her face and parts of like on the braids and whatnot. It looks like you're getting close to that white, and I think it looks good. And it looks like it comes very close to having like black clipping. Like the shadows get very, very dark in some parts of the photo, which I like. I think that you did it well with having highlights bright and some dark shadows. The histogram shows that the blacks aren't crushed, so you haven't destroyed it. I mean, it's nice. It's really nice. I like the deep shadows and the bright highlights. Some details on the metadata. It's APS-C. I think it was like some kind of like Canon camera. It was like 30-some megapixels. I never knew about this camera, but that's like incredibly high resolution for APS-C. It's amazing where these cameras are going. I can only imagine like 5 to 10 years. Like, whoa, what kind of cameras are we going to be using? It's pretty exciting. But I would like to see an improvement in this, or where we could take it to the next level is like better dynamic range. How many more megapixels do we need? Focal length 33 millimeter. So probably using some kind of zoom lens. Looks like kind of close to that, kind of like a standard 35 millimeter. Focal length, which is 33. F2.8. I mean, I'm like, wow, 2.8. Like, you did a good job of getting a lot of the photo or subject in focus. Like, you must have she's laying on the ground. The angle, I mean, you're not straight down. You're at an angle. Like, you just did a really good job of getting that much of the subject that you wanted to get in focus. That's at 2.8. That's pretty impressive. And your shutter speed was 1/20th of a second. If you were doing handheld, like, boom, you get the award for the slow shutter speed for handheld. That's not easy. Whatever, it could have been on tripod. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that's pretty slow shutter speed. Obviously, the model would be laying perfectly still. But yeah, great job, Paige. Honorable mention again. I'd just like to repeat that there were a lot of other photos that were honestly like pretty much just as good. Like, they were just as good as these ones that I've selected. So it was difficult for me to narrow it down to only 3 per category. Very easily could have chosen some other ones in place of these, but ultimately I had to make a decision, and in my opinion, the 3 that I picked for each of these photography categories are the winners. So congratulations, and now on to some other categories. All right, and now on to the analog photography category. This was extremely tough because I can only choose one, and there were a lot of good ones. So after I, give the winner and talk about it, I do want to list off some other pieces that if they want to throw in. I mean, there's so many. I just want to list some other ones that I think were really, really great as well, but only one can be a winner. So I've chosen Carter Shima's photo is Untitled as the winner. And I believe Carter, I chose Carter in another category. Sorry, just coming up here to see. Yes, he also got second place in the commercial photography. And honestly, at first I was like, oh man, do I pick one person to get 2 awards or not? And because at first I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't do that, but then I was like, well, I mean, that's not right too, because really, I mean, I could be given all of these photos but not knowing what the name is. The name doesn't matter. But ultimately I chose Carter deserves 2 awards. This, in my opinion, is the best analog photography photo, and it is the cyanotype. And yeah, kind of talk about the photo. As I said, I love the feel of this photo. It reminds me of a photo or a scene from like the 70s or the 80s with like the glow of the light on her face. I don't know why like cameras kind of did that back then or whatnot, but the pose is very serene, and I like the impact of the sharp light coming from the right side. As you can kind of see, like the shadows on the right side of her nose, but the left side of the photo. It's as if she's looking out a window. The texture of the jacket is really interesting, and I also like the pieces of her hair that come down. And I mean, I guess technically she could have like blonde highlights in her hair, which might be it, but I think it's more so like that's the light hitting her hair. Either way, it looks really cool. And I think the background was really well chosen. It's got like details to it. I think it's a neon sign. I could be wrong, but I mean, I can't perfectly tell what it is, which is kind of cool too. It's a mystery, but I think it's a neon sign, which I think looks cool. I also think the edges of the photo look very artistic. Like, it looks like paintbrush marks. However this is created and done, like someone could fill that in or clear it or crop it, but I like how you can see the what looks to me like brush marks. I think that looks really cool. And the photo has a really nice range of shadows and highlights that they balance well. Fantastic. Congratulations, Carter. This is really, really excellent work. And I'd also like to list some of the other ones that I just really like. Like I'm telling you, this is really hard to choose just one. And this is just going in alphabetical order. But Annie Canning, the all human one, Christian Corey, Untitled, Devin Day, Cali Boy, Kylie Rowe, Untitled, Maddie Vinciato, Untitled. And honestly, if I were to pick a second, I thought Maddie's was second. Really could have been first. This is tough, I'm telling y'all. Another one that I really liked was Tabitha Schwer King, Untitled. I thought that was like super cool with the, looks like clothespins, but I was like, it looks like a fan. So really well thought out, kind of like layout, and that process is, I thought that was really interesting too, the photogram. So that is the analog photography category. Okay, and now we're on to the graphic arts category. And again, like the photography, to narrow these down is very difficult. Y'all did a really good job. There's a lot of good pieces in here that I know took a lot of time. These are very time consuming, and you should be proud, you know, of the outcome that the class has produced. This is really good. So of course, though, I need to narrow it down and pick a winner. So congratulations, Noah Epley, the Boogeyman digital collage. Wow, like, I love the dark creativity of this collage. Like, the thing that gets me the most though is like, you put it together so well that I'm like seriously having a hard time knowing what are the separate pieces. Like, are these guys actually wearing masks? Is it composited on there? Is that guy standing behind the window? Or was he composited into there? Like, it feels like one photo, like one piece to me. So, I mean, obviously in some composites, like, it's supposed to look like a composite, so it's, you know, you're supposed to be obvious that it's composited together. But if a focus was like, oh, let's make a composite and like let's make it look like nobody knows that it's a composite, like I would have a hard time if I was just given this to guess, oh, is this a composite or is this a photo? I would say no, this is like one scene, one single photo that was achieved. So wow. I get a very like ominous sense emanating from it, like really creepy. Let's see here. I also like the faded tone of the piece. You know, kind of like if you go into a photo editing program and you take the blacks and just like raise the blacks up across the entire image, it gives you that kind of like faded like kind of tone. So I think that it looks cool in here. I mean, I'm not saying that's what you did, but I get this that kind of vibe from it, look from it, which I think looks really cool. It's almost like, oh, maybe looks like medium format or something like that. Not that like all medium format photos look like that, but I mean, when I stand back here and look at this, I'm like, this almost looks like it could have been taken like with a medium format camera. So really cool. I think like this is something that could be used like as a movie cover or like a poster, especially if like, okay, some text was added to it, like say this was a movie cover or a poster, you know, you add like the actors' names, movie title, and stuff like that. Like just the scene of it looks like that. It's really creative. The creepiest part is the man in the window. Yeah, I'm like having a hard time knowing if they're wearing masks or not. I just think the piece was really well thought out and came together like on a very, very professional level. So congratulations, Noah. This is the winner for the graphic arts category. Okay, now for second place in the graphic arts category, that goes to Anderson with the Adobe Illustrator piece. The information I received or on the website, it just says Anderson. So sorry, I'm not sure if that's someone's first name, last name, and what their full name is. But second place goes to Anderson, and this is just a very professional looking illustration. This is a piece of work I can see being used in an advertisement or poster for a state or national park, possibly. Just an idea. There's a lot of detail and a wide range of colors, yet it's not overdone. It's not too busy. It's just like the perfect amount. The colors, they all complement each other. The placement of the different items flows perfectly. Like, it's just balanced so well, and it's just like realistically, like, it's well done. Like, in the foreground, like in the middle ground or whatever, in the bottom right, like, you can see like the hill, the falling off of the hill, and the bulge of the house on the top of that like hill. And I mean, it just flows really, really nicely. It's just very balanced, and I'm just guessing like this has been tweaked over and over and over until the final product is here, what we're seeing. It'd be interesting to know how many hours it took to produce, because I'm sure it took a long time. And if it didn't, then hats off to you. Heck yeah, the faster you can do this, the better. This is a piece that will produce money in the real world. Like whether at a job or freelancing, like someone will definitely pay for this. This is excellent work. It's very professional. So congratulations, Anderson. All right, and now on to the drawing category. Most of these are charcoal drawings, and then with the exception, I think there's a couple graphite drawings. And so for first place, congratulations, Deontay Bolden, for your piece titled "When You Die." This was charcoal drawing. I love this theme. Normally when you think about death, it's considered sad or scary, but this drawing seems to depict it as happy or possibly even funny. Because like the person in the coffin has a big old smile. What appears to be the people around the coffin, possibly at a funeral or a wake, they're all smiles, and some even appear as if they're laughing, like it's funny, or I can't quite tell. It's just extremely creative, and the only person that you can see their entire body and face is the person in the coffin. It's really interesting. The people standing around. It's like you can a lot of you can only see their face, and even some of them you can only see their mouth. So I'm kind of curious with the meaning behind that. It's almost as if it's focused on like the reality of the person in the coffin, and as if they're stepping out of the real world, which is where everyone else is. Like they're slowly starting to disappear. You're only seeing their faces. Let's see. More of what I wrote. And technically, the drawing quality is very sound and detailed. I can tell this piece involved a lot of thought and has deep meaning. It'd be really interesting to hear from the artist, like what their take on it is. So, congratulations, Deontay. For second place in the drawing category, congratulations, Isaac Davis. The title is Built Different, and this is also charcoal drawing. This piece gives me the vibe of like an ancient cave drawing. It's very smooth with like its heavy background. Like the background is very smooth and solid, and which I like with like charcoal drawings, when the page is kind of filled in. It also gives off like a fantasy feel with the fish appearing much larger than the hunter. I mean, I'm assuming this is a hunter. They have a spear and looks like a fish. It's complex, yet it's simplistic. I'm left wondering, is the hunter going to kill the beast, or is the beast gonna eat the hunter? Yeah, this is I like this one. This is excellent. Congratulations, Isaac, on second place for the drawing category. All right, so moving along to the 2D category. I love these. This is really creative. Congratulations to Ty Williamson. This is actually Ty's second award, and he gets first for this one for his piece titled Paper Who, which is digital typography. And here's just kind of like my description. This Who guy has appeared twice now. I'm starting to think Ty has a story behind this character. First, I saw him in the highly creative photo composite, and now he's showing up in the 2D design category. I honestly didn't connect the two until after I'd already chosen this piece as one of like the finalists, what I was gonna think about, considering for first, second, or honorable mention. Then the first thing that kind of got me was like the white pockets coming out, as you can see in this the 2D design, which was also happening in the photos of his composite. And then I read the title and the HOO for Who, and I was like, where do I remember that from? And I was like, oh yeah, this is the same guy from Ty's photo composite. And I thought that was like very clever, super interesting. It makes me want to know more. Like I'm gonna go to sleep and this Who guy is gonna show up in my dreams now. He seems scary in the photo composite, but now he looks friendly and like he's about to go dancing. I can only assume Who is of Japanese descent from the clues in like the text in the background. There's mention of like Kyoto, and it says things about Japan in there. And honestly, when I was looking at the like Mr. Who, like the silhouette of his hair, I don't know why, but it like jumped out at me. I was like, this guy looks like East Asian. And then like once I started reading some of the text there, I was like, okay, it's mentioning Japan, so very interesting. And possibly HOO, it would be a last name of someone who's Japanese. So I want to know more. I mean, I think this is like super creative. Like Ty, you get the award for being the most creative student. Honestly, like great job. I love it. And that's first place for the 2D design. For second place in the 2D design category, congratulations, Emilia Facine. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Your piece, Turning Page, which was paper and ink, was excellent. I love the mixture of collage from the book pages combined with the ink drawing. The focus is clearly on the voice bubble, which talks about heavy rain. Not only is the woman talking about a loud storm, but she also appears to be yelling. Some of the pages have a yellow tint, which I thought was creative in the way that they were used. It gives you that sense that like an old book was utilized for the piece, which I thought was really cool. So congratulations, Amelia, for second place in the 2D design category. All right, so I just realized that I goofed. I was supposed to just pick one honorable mention for a combination of the groups of graphic arts, drawing, and 2D design, even though I've already recorded one for each of those. So I'm just explaining right now. I had to narrow it down to one, and I chose the honorable mention to go to Nathan Cabrera for the Shredding Cats and Dogs piece. And the next video will, be the description and whatnot that I've already done for that. Honorable mention for the graphic arts category goes to Nathan Cabrera. Shredding Cats and Dogs. It's a digital collage. This piece is hilarious. It's just fun as can be. you can interpret it in so many different ways, but the underlying tone is comedic, in my opinion. I can see it being printed on t-shirts. Imagine seeing someone wearing this collage on a shirt. Like, it's probably going to draw some comments from strangers. Like, what is this? Although it may not have been time consuming as the others possibly to produce, it gets a lot of points for the creative theme. Like, I'm not saying it didn't, maybe it did very well take a lot of time. The clipping was a lot, and I'm like totally wrong. But to me, even if this took 10 minutes to do, I love it. The creative theme, you could use this. I'm telling you, like, you print this on t-shirts, you can make some money. Like, I think it's good. And for that reason, this gets honorable mention in the graphic arts category. Okay, so now we are all the way to the best in show. So this is the moment we've been waiting for, folks. This is the winner of the overall show, and this goes to Noah Epley. And for his piece called Boogeyman, you may remember that he got first place in the graphic arts section. And this was a digital collage. I'm still like baffled on this collage, like, what are the pieces? Because it really seriously looks like one photo. Just to kind of recap my previous video, like, I love the dark creativity of this. Get like an ominous feeling from it. Like I said, it's hard to tell what are the pieces. It's just all so smooth, and like the faded tone to it, like I mentioned, kind of looks like a medium format photo. Could be used as like a movie cover or a poster. Like I said, if you added, the title of the movie or the actresses and actors. Yeah, the creepiest part, the guy in the window, and I still can't figure out, like, is that composited in or not? So I would love to, get Noah's like insight and get some more information on how he produced this really nice piece of work. So congratulations, Noah, for Best in Show. All right, now we're gonna wrap up everything by my selection. 2 students from Storm Lake High School that are at Iowa Central under a dual credit program, and I just want to say I've really enjoyed doing this. I think I started around maybe 8 o'clock last night, and now it's 8 in the morning. I've literally stayed up all night and done this straight through, so I'll be sleeping good later, I guess. So with the Storm Lake High School students, they had each of them had multiple photos, and so there's 2 photos that I picked, one from each of these students, but it was more about the culmination of all of their photos, so these aren't particular like, oh, these are the exact best images overall for out of everybody and whatever. It's just one of the examples, or the best example for each one of these students that I thought overall had the best work. So starting off, the first student from Storm Lake High School is Isabella Lopez, and you had a lot of really great images. I just settled on the grass mother photo, and Jack Huss, the knife talk photo. Again, Jack had a lot of great photos, and it was really just a combination of both of those 2 students' pieces of work, photos, and that's who I think should get the tuition scholarship. So it's been a lot of fun. Again, my name is Ryan Paskey, and I hope I've done a decent job being the juror, and hopefully my information was insightful, and yeah, I had a lot of fun. Congratulations, everybody.